Hello, everybody. Thank you to the proteomics teams, the vaccine research team, and the Aztec team for their wonderful presentations. It's now our turn. We are the AI-powered tools for adaptive user interfaces, and we are the first of the AI like Code Plus projects that are going to be presenting today. We'll introduce ourselves now. I'm Paul Lecco, class of 2027, studying math and computer science.
Hey everyone, I'm Kai. I'm the class of 2027 and I'm studying computer science and public policy.
Hi, I'm Dia Shah. I'm the class of 2028 and I'm studying computer science and economics.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm a class of 2027 and I'm studying computer science.
Hello, I'm Alexander, and I'm the class of 2027, and I'm studying computer science and electrical and computer engineering.
We'd also like to introduce our team leads, Aaron, Julie, and Jade, and our stakeholders, the Duco IT, Howard, Joel, and the program sponsors from Microsoft, Anastasia and Sheth. Thank you all for being here. So now we'll jump into talking about the problem that we're solving with our project. So an issue is that a lot of technology is often designed by engineers for the average user. And the issue with that is that most users are not the average user. And so there is a gap between the technology that's designed and the unique user's needs, preferences, and intentions. A big issue with that is that users who have accessibility needs they need to specify that, and then this creates a stigma around using certain tools and technologies. And we'll pass it on to Dia to talk about our solution.
Our solution to this problem is to design for each individual user instead of designing for a generic all user instead of putting everybody into the same buckets. So now we decided to solve that problem by creating a content-focused browsing experience for the unique user. Our tool that we created adapts to the user and adapts to the data that they give us at a specific time. We avoid privacy and data concerns by only using what is given to us at a specific time. And we are not just an accessibility tool. We can adapt according to the needs or circumstances of a person. We're more of an experience tool. And we don't ever ask a person if they have certain accessibility needs or if they need certain accommodations. So our solution to these issues is area, and our area tool has some functionalities, different modes, and it looks like this. At the top, you can insert a URL into our URL bar, or you could upload a PDF, and we use those different methods to scrape the text from them, and then automatically we display it in the original. So it just display text on our page. And then we have 4 dynamic modes that we created as a part of this project. The first mode is summarize, freedom from the endless scroll, adaptive reading, reading at the speed of you, then immersive audio, beyond the noise, and finally content helper, the internet assembled for you. So we're going to go into each mode's functionality. The first mode is summarize mode, and I'll pass it over to Paul to explain that.
Yeah, the summarize mode is pretty straightforward. You can see here some of the workflow for using the tool. You paste a URL in, or as Dia mentioned, you can upload a PDF, and that's going to scrape the content. And in a moment, what you're going to see is we're just going to have the plain text showing everything that you would really want to read out of the Penguin Wikipedia page is going to be there. We get rid of the navigation bars and all this stuff that's kind of distracting to make it a more focused experience. But then the real power here is in summarize mode. We can choose to get a paragraph summary or a bullet point summary, and we can also customize the link. So in a moment here, I'm going to get a two sentence long paragraph to try to get as good a summary of the website as we can. Obviously, we're going to lose some context, which is why it's good to be able to change the length. Here, I'm going to get 10 bullet points, but it's a pretty straightforward tool, just trying to customize the way that information is presented to the user and put that power in the user's hand. So the user can choose how they want to see this information and how much time they want to spend on this. If they want to save time, they can get a shorter summary. I'm now going to hand it off to Kai to talk about the adaptive reader mode.
Thanks, Paul. So the adaptive reader mode creates a reading experience that bridges that gap between the content and the user in real time as the user is engaging with the interface, and that is done with the use of AI. So let's take a look at the demo here. We've got a monetary policy report from the Federal Reserve. Now, imagine it's 7 a.m. and you're trying to stay informed about new economic policy that affects your investment and mortgage rates, but you haven't had your coffee yet and your brain isn't firing on all cylinders. So, what we can do is turn on our auto adaptive reading mode, right? And we can begin reading. And so as you can see here, I'm taking my time to digest the material. It's clear to see that this specific piece has got some dense economic terminology and complex sentence structure. So I'm engaging with this content, and the adaptive reading application is taking in my behavioral metrics as feedback. So currently in this demo that we're seeing, the application is using the speed at which I am scrolling as information of how I'm engaging with the material. We've also previously experimented with metrics such as pauses in reading, skimming, or distracted behavioral signals from users, and lingering back and forth on the same sections. So the application's collecting my real-time behavioral metrics, and simultaneously, it is utilizing AI to transform the next sections of content that are about to come into view as we scroll. So right now, based on the slower pace at which I've been interacting with the content, the paragraphs that are coming into view are written in a way that's a little bit more digestible and less dense with technical jargon. So now I'm able to have a smoother reading experience. And this is reflected by my scrolling patterns and applications continuing to track that, which forms like a feedback loop. And the system adapts the content and constantly tracks my improved comprehension through my scrolling patterns and uses that data to calibrate the complexity level for the next sections that are coming into view. And there are many use cases for this. Like consider maybe you're a software engineer and you're trying to quickly understand a medical research paper for a health tech project. Or you're just trying to read an article on a busy commute and you're distracted because of the noisy surroundings that you're in. And so adaptive reading aims to make the content suitable for the state of the user and tailor the reading experience for these unique circumstances. And as you can see here, we're able to also manually toggle the like style or the complexity of the text. And we're tracking words per minute as the scroll behavioral metrics. So yeah, next we'll pass on to Dia to talk about immersive audio.
Thank you, Kai. Immersive audio is an immersive soundscape experience that allows the user to paste in or upload a PDF for a short story or an article, and then as you're scrolling, the user is able to hear sounds that are based off the text. So for example, if you're reading a story about birds, you can hear birds chirping as you're scrolling. And we do this by querying a sound library called Freesound. So we take, like, based off the paragraphs of the text, we query sounds that are appropriate for each paragraph. So in this video, we can see that if you start it, that first there's an ambient sound at the beginning. And then as we scroll, this paragraph is about people in a city and we hear footsteps. If we keep scrolling, this paragraph is about a city and we hear city traffic noises. And then as we scroll, again, this one is about the weather in the city. So we hear about sounds about the storms and rain. So the use cases for this feature could be if you want a truly immersive experience, or if you want to truly be engaged in a story in a unique way, you want to be transported and like feel a part of a story while you're reading it instead of just like reading it and comprehending it, if you truly want to be as a part of the story. So that's immersive audio, and I will transfer off to Jason for Content Helper.
Thanks, Dia, for the immersive audio mode. So next, I want to introduce with everyone about the content helper from Aria tool. So because our ultimate goal is to design for each, so we decided to classify different kinds of content and different kind of website into different categories. So for example, right here, you can see in the demo, I just copy and paste the URL for the recipe content, and it's sanitizing the content right now. And if you click on the Aria tool and content helper, it will dynamically generate two actions, which are show the ingredients and extract all the recipe steps. So if you click on the ingredients, it will show you how much is the serving size and how much is the butter, sugar, flour you need to bake cookies. And if you click on the list of all the steps to bake cookies, it also return back the bullet point. On the bullet point is very concise and straightforward for you guys to look at the recipe, and instead of reading like a big block of text on how to bake cookies. So it saves a lot more time and effort for the user. It's also work with different kinds of content as well, like news, tutorial, informational. So right here is the news content showing on the demo right here. So it will dynamically generate US national news, international news, and background timeline. So it's very helpful if you want to only read the national news on a day, or you only want to read the international news. So the content helper tool is very helpful for you guys if the user wants to browsing the web more versatile. So if you want to dive deeper into, for example, the news content, you can click on the background and timeline. It will give you like general information of the content of that day, and it also give you the timeline of all the news. And if you want to learn something new, for example, like how to build a birdhouse, this can also give you like all the lists of required tools to build a birdhouse and all the step-by-step guide to show you how to build a birdhouse very easily. And that's the content helper. I'll pass it back to Paul to talk more about the UI inputs.
Yeah, because a lot of our early experimentations and prototypes for this tool had to do with accessibility. One of the things that we were really interested in was the different interfaces with which we could interact with websites. One of those, which we don't actually have a demo for today, was voice control. You could imagine like trying to fill out a form and speaking out loud saying, "My name is Paul. I live at some address. You can just speak. You can speak what you want to input into the form." We didn't get it quite working, which is why we don't have a proper demo of it here. But yeah, it's something that we worked a little bit on towards the start of the summer. Another thing we were thinking about was what we call dynamic font, where you can see here a dashing young man. He's standing some distance away from the camera, and in response to the distance that he is away, the text is getting larger. And you can imagine that maybe he's trying to cook and he's all the way across the kitchen and the text is real small. But no, it's not, because it's reacting to the fact that it's far away and it's getting larger dynamically to make it easier to read. Again, it wasn't something that we were able to integrate into our ARIA tool, but we had some working prototypes here. Definitely our most intriguing and the one we went furthest with in terms of the different types of inputs was our gestures. And I'll hand it off to Alexander to talk about a little branch project, the gestural component library.
Oh, thank you, Paul. So, it's very similar to the dynamic font. The gestural component library is just a demonstration of a byproduct that we created while we worked along this 10 weeks project. What you see here are these things called landmarks. The landmarks are the little black dots, is what I'm referring to, right? And to be able to do these, we use two libraries, TensorFlow and MediaPy. TensorFlow being an open source machine learning framework, and MediaPy being a little bit separate from TensorFlow, but essentially handles real time. So this would be like hand tracking, and every single landmark, as you see on the page, has a mapping. So for the wrist is a 0 point, the thumb would be 1 to 4, and these are broken down through your joints and to the tip of the thumb. And the index finger is 5 to 8, the middle finger is 9 to 12, the ring finger is 13 to 16, and the pinky finger is 17 to 20. So with these mappings, we're able to create gestures essentially. So what you see here is a scroll gesture. So by being able to scroll through a page, you essentially flick your finger down, and to scroll up the page, you flick your index finger and your middle finger up. This is what the gesture component library looks like. Essentially, is directions on how to use a gesture, a GIF to explain what the gesture should look like, a code snippet, and a demonstration or a demo at the very bottom. The next gesture would be the scroll and cursor button. So this one, you use the tip of your index finger as a cursor and a confirmer by bringing your index finger on your left hand and your thumb together. So like an OK symbol. And here we could see I'm clicking through these buttons, right? And then the next gesture would be the drag gesture. This one's probably the most difficult one I had trouble with. But with this one, you have to, the way that I went about it is coding a cursor in the center of your palm. And to make it very intuitive, we had a fist, so essentially like grabbing something, and to move it along the page, and to let go, you just open your hand. And this is how you're able to interact with certain UI elements on a page. And then lastly, we combined all three for a playground. Uh, with the physics engine, we were able to have a ball being tossed around using our hands and our camera. Um, so a little bit further in the video, you can see me actually press the ball here. I'm just throwing the ball around to demonstrate that the physics engine and the ability to drag an item. Here I press and click. And yeah, that is the gesture component library. I'm gonna pass it down to Paul for final logistics. Thank you.
So the next steps for this project, we wanted to think about some ways that we could continue to improve because it's always a work in progress. One of those next steps would be to integrate what we were calling the person aware features, that being our gesture controls, the voice controls, and also like face distance recognition. We clearly had some working prototypes with two of those, but weren't quite able to integrate it into the area tool due to just time constraints. With a little bit more time, that's definitely the next thing that we want to incorporate. It is just getting that to work in our area tool, and also trying to publish like open source libraries the way that Alexander has this gesture control library, so that other web applications can use the same code easily. We also want to work on a browser extension, either one that has the area modal constantly hovering on your screen, or potentially one that just it's a button that you'll press and it'll open the area tab preloaded. That way, like I don't have to constantly switch between tabs and copy and paste URLs. I could just press one button and it would, while I'm on a page, and it would open a new tab with the area tool open and the URL preloaded to save some time there. That was another idea that we had early on, but hit a couple of roadblocks. But with another week or so, that would be another next step. Another thing is just to kind of respond to some user feedback. So anybody here can try it out. We've got it at area.colab.duke.edu. I think somebody's putting that in the chat in a moment. You'll find the area tool as well as a feedback form. Any feedback is appreciated, and it's the next steps towards making the tool as good as possible. Yeah, and I will hand it off to Kai for our closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you all so much for watching our presentation. We'd like to extend our heartfelt thank yous to our team leads, Jolie, Aaron, and Jade. We couldn't have done this without them, and we are so grateful for our team leads. And we want to say thank you to our Microsoft program sponsors, Shret and Anastasia, and our stakeholders, Howard and Joel, for all of the amazing help they've given us, and to the program directors of CodePlus, Jen and Sherry, who have made this amazing summer possible. And we are so honored to have been part of the CodePlus 2025 cohort. Thank you again. And yeah, we'd love to answer any questions you have.